And that's why you should always check your drivers. What is going on, everybody? This is the Cover Band Confidential podcast for cover band musicians and bandleaders to learn how to rock more and suck less. In Atlanta, Georgia, I'm Adam Johnson.
In Greensboro, North Carolina, I'm Dan Ray.
This is another one of those rare occasions where we're doing an AM episode because we tried to do our normal Thursday get-together. It's like our standing date.
Yeah.
It's date night for me and Dan.
Listen, my whole week wraps around it, to be honest. It's a crucial moment of my week.
Margaritas and podcasting are just kind of how Thursdays go in my house.
Absolutely.
And, you know, the real issue, well, there were multiple issues. The main issue was that you just upgraded your laptop, right?
I upgraded it, and then it abruptly downgraded itself as we were trying to get started recording. Yeah, I installed there's a thing called Loopback that is a Mac application that lets you route audio in really clever ways, and it's a little too clever. I upgraded it here on my new machine, and it caused the whole machine to not be able to stay running for more than about 30 seconds at a time. Probably because I used the migration assistant and copied it over an older, like a version for the wrong architecture, for the Intel architecture rather than the Apple Silicon architecture is my guess.
Nobody cares about any of
this. No.
So.
It was super nerdy now. The point is, I had to reinstall the OS on my machine last night. Brand new machine, I had to reinstall the OS on it, which is
love that.
Great.
The second issue was that I had abandoned an episode of Stranger Things at the midway point to begin this session, and it never happened. So I'm getting texts from upstairs from my wife going, "This episode is unbelievable," and I was like, "Please stop doing this. I really need to focus."
And it is unbelievable.
And then once it became clear that the podcast recording was not going to happen, I went ahead and opened up Netflix on my browser window and watched the back half of the episode at 1.25 speed to kind of get through it before it was time to go.
And it was the episode that introduces Running Up That Hill, right? As a centerpiece.
And I will tell you this: at 1.25 speeds, she's running up that hill. She's really running,
galloping up that hill,
just going.
Yeah, that song is still number 4 as of this week. So
good for Kate Bush, man. Seriously. And also, like, props to the Duffer Brothers for like finding creative ways of, like, nobody was missing Running Up That Hill.
No,
they just literally like pulled it out of nowhere,
plucked it from the era that this whole show is a love letter to, and there's a great Metallica quote later in the season that's
well, and it's funny because like Metallica just played Lollapalooza, and the guy who played Eddie Munson like met them, and like they played Master of Puppets backstage, and and now when they play Master of Puppets, they play that whole scene behind them on like their giant LED wall.
Cool.
And it was like I was reading some comment, they're like, it's really cool that Metallica is like embracing this. I was like, they had to give them permission to do it in the first place.
Yeah.
And I have a sneaking suspicion that they were like, if you're going to use our song, we're going to request the source footage so that we can use it for our own,
that was part of the sync rights terms. It was
100%.
Of course it was.
So it's all business.
Yep.
Well, other than having to completely reinstall your OS and stressing out on a Thursday night, how have things been going?
Oh my God, let me tell you, since we were last together, the new project, the new Strange, played our first actual public gig that wasn't like a put together party for us to play at. At a place that I've been doing a lot of music at, State Street Wine Company here in Greensboro. Really, really great patio. If you find yourself in Central North Carolina, it's worth stopping by because it's a gorgeous little spot, and they do more than just wine. Boy, it was. So look, was it perfect? Did we play flawlessly? No, absolutely not. And listening back to the recordings, no, we didn't. But the energy we put out was exactly the energy I want my show to have. It was so much fun and so much engagement, and people just partying and having a great time and screaming about. We had that moment a couple of times. We'd start a song, and the whole I see the room be like, "Oh my God, what?" When you really nail a room with a song selection, we had that a couple of times, and it was awesome. We had a big crowd too. It was standing room only, and the owner of the place a couple of times like came out and was like kind of almost in tears. This thing's been his baby. It's been open for 3 months or so. And he said, this is the biggest crowd we've ever had. It's the biggest night we've ever had. Here's the thing that was interesting about it too. So they have a food truck there every weekend night. Mm-hmm. And the one they had on was a brand new food truck. It was their opening night. And
oh, wow.
They were Philly cheesesteaks and wings and And I met the guy. I was there on the night before, and I met the guy who ran it. And we were just chatting, and he's all excited. First day tomorrow, and said, I got a lot of people supporters, a lot of people coming out to support my business, supporting people's businesses in this town. I've been DJing and running music and selling weed and anything I can do, right? Whatever. But a lot of people know me, and I've supported a lot of people, and I know a lot of people are coming out. So I had a suspicion how it was going to look when I got there at 3:30ish to start the setting up in a new place. I pulled up and the parking lot was full, and the patio was full, and they were both eating and drinking. And so it was, already the day had started out strong. And the owner said, he got there at about 10:30, and there was already a line waiting for the truck to open at 11. And he said they actually had to shut down. They had to shut down at like 3:30 because they were out of food. They had to go buy more food.
Yeah.
And around that time, the owner said, God, we've already done $1,000 at the till today. It's 4:00. We're at $1,000. I said, great. What's the game then? What are we going to finish the day at? He said,
he hadn't even gotten that far.
No, he hadn't even thought about that. I said, 3,000? He said,
5?
Man, if we could do 3,000, if we could do 3, that'd be unreal. That'd be by far our biggest day. And I said, great. Well, then you can give us a raise then. He said, yeah, I'll give you a raise. You get to 3, and I've been saying to him, I want to get the band for bar gigs. I want it at 600 instead of 4. I want to be over 100 ahead. We all know that's the low ball game. And I have something more to say about that in a minute. He said, boy, we get to 3,000. You got your 600 next time. No problem. I make more. You make more. I was like, yeah, that's the deal. So place was packed. Place was slamming. We did, I experimented with something that I heard a writer into Gig Gab talk about a couple of weeks ago, which is a toast, like doing a toast. And so as I set up the break, I told everyone to come back with a drink to raise in the air. And we came back from the break. We played Happy Birthday to a friend of mine from the Lexington crew who chose to come up and have my show be her birthday party. Right? So she had like 15, 20 people with her. So we sang Happy Birthday to her. And then I did a toast. This is like you're at a historic event. This is the first public gig of this band. Also, this is the first night of this truck. Also, this venue we're at has been here for like three months. So like, please raise your glass to what's new. And everybody like a good mo, right. I don't know, it worked. I'm going to keep refining that concept. But I think a moment to have everyone be focused together that's not exactly musical but is about drinking. I think it's an interesting thing. So I'm going to keep playing with that.
It's a great concept for sure.
Yeah, and how to make it also musical, I think might be the I don't know. I just want to keep experimenting with it. If anyone has ideas about that, hit us up by email.
So you have a female vocalist in your group. There is a song by a band called Hailstorm, if you're not familiar with them, called Here's to Us.
Uh-huh.
So that might be something to think about.
All right.
It's a power ballad for sure, because they're a rock band, and their lead singer has this very big voice, and it's a cool song.
All right.
You should check it out.
All right.
Might be something worth looking into.
Yeah, so we can integrate there.
Let's see.
The one last thing about that night. It's so much to say. It was just killer. At the end of the night, one of my other Lexington people who came up to me. I haven't seen her in a few weeks. She moved away a few weeks ago, and she came up to me and said, "Listen, I'm having. It's not a wedding exactly because we snuck off and got married, but it's sort of the announcement to everybody that we got married. It's like a wedding, but the wedding's already happened, and we'd love for you guys to play it. So I now have a contract out to her to sign that is like our first multi-$1,000 like real big boy gig, and band's super excited about it. It's in Asheville, which is the fun weekend town that's not beach in North Carolina. Weekends on the beach are great, but if you're not, if you're going to get away for a weekend in North Carolina, it might be to Asheville. So it'll certainly pay us for a great weekend in Asheville, and I think it'll be awesome. She's super excited about it, and the question is if her parents are going to add us to the budget, which she's going to work on them. I think they probably will. We've already been working out sort of timeline and what's going to happen. Probably Taylor and I will do some acoustic duo while people are doing apps and drinks, filing in and stuff, and then we'll play a playlist during dinner, and then we'll rock out after. So
Very cool.
Anyway,
yeah, you had hit me up about the blank contract.
That's right. Yeah, I'm gonna need that. Yeah.
So that is something that is available either a la carte on coverbandconfidential.com, or if you're a member of the Patreon, which has been slowly, adding to the ranks every single week.
A few this week, right?
It's available. Yeah, it's available there too. But yeah, it's a great jumping off point. I will say this: we're in the process of getting this October date figured out, and this one particular client who is a nonprofit, I've been back and forth with them revising the contract. It's been multiple months at this point, and we have played hundreds of private events. We have played for multiple law firms and even like the Trial Lawyers Association of Georgia. And I have never done this number of revisions.
Wow.
And it's very interesting. And it's not anything like, they're not necessarily trying to take things away or, make us, not get the things that we need to be successful. It's just like the language needs to be a certain way for, the brass to sign off on it. So.
Yeah.
A lot of semantics.
Yeah. Lawyers, gotta justify their hourly rate.
What do you call 100 lawyers at the bottom of the ocean?
A good start.
Hey-o! We'll be right back. Sorry. That's our...
Unless they're blues lawyers, in which case they should be our listeners and fans. Yeah.
We're shifting gears into our shock jock era.
That's right. Oh my God. We used to have a rap one. I don't know where that went.
Yeah, for sure.
That was a thing.
So let's see. This past week, Warped played the second show we've ever played. Added a couple of components, one being a second guitar player. And I brought my guitar stuff, and then I played my guitar for 2 songs of a 45-minute set. And I was like, wow, this seems like a colossal waste of time and space and resources and things. So we had a conversation when I came back from that gig where I was kind of like ho-humming about the way that the night went.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I think I was just like in a weird headspace after the show and how things perceived to have been. Part of it was, it was the second time, so I think there were like expectations of things that, and when things don't line up a certain way, maybe you don't feel the same way about them that you did before. But like for context, that was the first show that like we had played ever. It was like a rare show during an era where, COVID was kind of like keeping things from happening.
Yeah.
So this is like one of the first times out, and like that first night felt like super like magical. But as I've like thought about it and gone through things, like tons of stuff went right. And we added new songs that went over really well. We made 50% more than we did the first time, which is still not a whole lot at all.
Right.
We got more pictures, we got more footage. I got the full set recorded on multi-track off of the board.
Cool.
I tried that last time and forgot to turn it off. And that's a fun little bug if you have the X32 card. If you don't stop the recording, it doesn't save the recording. So that's fun.
Yeah.
So I'm in the process of breaking that up because, a 45-minute set of 16-channel audio is massive, and it's really hard to mix everything all at once, especially if you've got to, like, clean things up vocally or that kind of thing. So I'm breaking them up into individual songs to make it easier to navigate through.
Yep.
So, yeah, lots of things went right. And I think I was telling Dan before we hopped on here that I think the biggest issue was that I had done something, my eye was hurting, so I was like, I'm just going to wear glasses to load in. And then when I got there, I was like, well, maybe I'll just like let it ride. I brought my contacts, but I won't put them in because my eye still kind of hurts, and maybe I'll just do it in glasses. And I think that's something I don't normally do. And it was this weird separation situation where normally like members only plays in sunglasses, and it's kind of like a thing that we do. Whereas with the pop punk thing, I think I want to be more connected. It's much more like intimate in that way.
Yeah.
And I felt separated. And so everything just kind of felt off. And it had nothing to do with the end product. It had nothing to do with the way that like the room perceived it or anything. It was just everything was all in my head.
Does the audience care?
Well, yeah.
Right.
But I think, we had that conversation again with the Alt 95 guys. It was like, does the audience care if the musicians on stage feel off? It sometimes carries.
Maybe sometimes.
So
depends.
It's a hard question to answer. And I think it's just sometimes if you're having like a bad day, like don't make decisions. Like yesterday was one of those days. Like work was like super rough.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about, because we have a gig tonight And it's that gig that's like 9 years in the making. It's happening tonight.
Excellent.
And we're playing at a place in Atlanta-ish. It's considered a suburb, but it's more like a neighborhood now. And it's at a theater that Elvis Presley played. Like it's like this historic place.
Wow.
And yesterday I was just kind of like dreading it, and it had more to do with the day that I was having. And I was like, is this really what I want to be doing? And I was like, don't think through this stuff. Like, this is not the time to be making decisions.
Yeah.
This is just, you're having a crappy day, and just like be in the crappy day and like move on.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Crappy days end.
They do.
Yeah.
And then good days start.
Yeah.
And that's what today is.
There you go. Perfect.
Because it's Friday, baby.
It is Friday.
Friday, baby.
Starting out with a podcast.
Cue the Friday Foghorn Shock Jock radio show button. Yeah. And some like obnoxious song parody.
Friday.
I think we're onto something.
I think
Friday.
I think we're gonna hate it very much in not very much time, but yeah. All right, good.
So initially our concept was like the tale of two shows, but in reality, like both shows went well.
Both shows were good.
It was more about perception.
Yeah.
Because, and you were saying like a lot of stuff went right at your show outside of just people being there and the business doing well. We've been talking a lot about content and getting good footage, and you have really been a proponent and an advocate for the Mevo camera system.
And I got to tell you, I also got full board audio and 6 Mevo cameras worth of footage of the whole night. So I posted the first song that I put together, Closer, Chainsmokers, to the Slack, and really happy with how that came together. And there are a bunch of others that are good too. I think ultimately what I want to do is have that montage looking thing that is 15 to 20 seconds of 8 tunes, and it sells the whole range of what we do and all of that. So that'll be what I'm putting together. Too. I am finding, like you, that the move is to keep the big raw footage on an SD drive and then cut out just the clips of songs to bring into Final Cut, because even on a monster machine like this one that I have here, that's a lot. So
lots of processing.
Yeah, but the multicam stuff that's in Final Cut Pro is pretty killer. So it's really easy to just patch that together, and it syncs all the cameras up. You just choose, you're like a director, directing the Oscars or something. Just go camera 2.
Bing, bang, boom.
Go camera 3. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Very cool.
Yep.
So let's see. What's going on for this weekend? You got anything going on tonight or tomorrow night?
Sleep.
Wow.
Yeah. I have nothing going on. We're actually not even going to rehearse this weekend because so my bassist has moved to Raleigh, and she's a young, energetic young human. And she has assured me that she wants us to keep playing with us, and that moving away an hour and a half down the road doesn't mean she's quitting. That's good. I do see the writing on the wall of subbing her more because of her availability and whatnot. That's just inevitable, and so I'm already starting to kind of put some feelers out about that. But it does mean we're gonna move at this point rehearsal to probably more like once every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't know. The rest of us may get together periodically. Just to start prepping stuff. She's a quick study. She's a bass performance graduate from the local music school, so she knows the scene in terms of like getting prepped for stuff. She's sharp that way.
But also, like, that's her full gig. Like, that's how she's making her living.
She currently works for before she moved away, she was working for the Greensboro City Library.
Okay.
So she's not trying to be a full-time musician, but whatever she does, she's going to have that be a big carved out piece of her life for sure. Because
it's a weird thing, because like as band leaders, you want talented, competent people, but hiring full-time musicians for your projects can be really tricky because they have to work.
Yeah. And
so unless you can keep them full-time, you might run into availability issues.
Well, and she replaced somebody like that, somebody who is a full-timer, a classmate of hers actually. Also killer bassist, but like I had him as a member of the band for a while, full bird member, and then like he couldn't do anything because he was booked solid for months and months at a time. Good for him. He needs to be.
Yeah,
but
sure.
It's like it's tough to work with that as a band that's going to play a couple times a month maybe.
Yeah,
it's really hard to get booked out far enough ahead that you can be on, have that guy available. And then he did some horse trading on me, like we were booked and then he got a better offer. And it was kind of when I pulled the plug on that one.
Sure. Yeah. These are the things that being a band leader involve. And it's you got to make tough decisions and have those conversations and that kind of thing. And, members only still needs to kind of do our stakeholder meeting and kind of talk through some stuff. And, there's some things that need to be tweaked and some issues that need to be addressed and just like brought out. Cause I think sometimes, just shining light on a subject can demystify it and make it less scary.
For sure.
I just want to get into the other side of this gig, and then we've got a couple of weeks off, and then we got some stuff in September. The thing about this gig tonight is that because this venue and this it's first of all, it's like a collection of venues. There's multiple versions of this location, but it is in the kind of cover tribute band world like a level of prominence. Even though we have been super busy and very successful outside of this particular lane. Yesterday, another venue that kind of caters to that kind of group just hit us up out of the blue, asking about what our pricing is and that kind of thing.
Awesome.
So it does kind of just make you more visible. And, in our world, 80s bands are not a scarcity in our market, but they're the bands that are kind of above us as far as like prominence and or, viability are in the process of pricing themselves out of places like this. So as groups go from local to regional to national, it opens up opportunities for other groups. And, for us, we that's not something that I aspire to. I like playing music sometimes. It being my sole source of income is not interesting to me any longer.
Right.
That's a young man's game as far as I am concerned. But it would be nice to just kind of have some standing dates and not have to chase those down as often.
Yeah.
And kind of get back into the sales funnel-y kind of process that we have grown accustomed to.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you can grow to be, a pork tornado size operation. And it'll take over your whole summer, but it's awesome, and then those guys travel regionally, I suppose. They were in Chicago recently. But I think there's a lot of space in there for you to dial in exactly the sweet spot of your, operation. I think, so it's great to be able to move up market the way you are. It's huge. Actually, it's really good. Yeah.
Well, and speaking of, traveling and, networking and that kind of thing, one of the other bands from that are a part of the listenership got to open up for the Pork Tornadoes in Chicago.
Yes.
And they hooked up because they're in the Slack together. So it's a lot. This whole thing is all about lifting each other up and connecting people, because we've got guys from all over the country, all over the world at this point, and finding opportunities to work together is definitely something that like we're actively striving to do.
Yeah.
There's a slight outside chance we might be able to get a little bit of a meetup happening sometime next month. I'm not fully sure I can make that happen, but if there's any way to do that, we will do our darndest, as they say.
Yep.
Let's see. The rest of my day is printing out set lists, restringing some guitars, and packing some stuff up, because that's
that's your day.
It's gig day, baby.
Yeah. Listen, let me just float an idea past you. This is something that I've been thinking about that you
Can't
mentioned. Say a little about the coffee you're drinking there.
So we were talking about Dunkin' and how I like a cold brew.
Yeah.
But specifically, I like a nitro cold brew. It's got an octane to it. It's got a texture to it that I'm very, very into.
Yeah, and then what's the so the part that I'm asking here particularly about is the saving up the freeze.
Saving. So because there's a Dunkin' by my house, and I was like, what am I going to do with this? I don't like donuts that much, but I do like their coffee, and I'm there probably 3 days a week minimum.
Yeah.
And because they have a loyalty program, they've got a little app that I order through, and so I can literally just walk in and grab my stuff. But there's a loyalty component to it, and I get free coffee.
Yeah.
And as of like last week, I had 3 free coffees. I had like banked them up.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, I can just wander right in and get myself a coffee and have nothing to show, or just walk out.
Yep.
Easy peasy.
Yep. All right. So now, where might Dan be going with this? This is a random thing to be talking about on a music podcast.
No clue.
So here's the thing.
I thought we were talking about nitro cold brew for a bit.
I know. Well, I'm
nitro.
glad we did because it's good stuff. Here's the thing. When I am doing my trivia stuff or doing my acoustic stuff or doing my band stuff, I'm talking particularly in the bar band, public event kind of world, the thing that I want to foster is repeated visits. I want people coming back to me. I want people following me. I want people, I have a group of people, this women from the Lexington trivia who call themselves my groupies. We're just friends. Doesn't mean anything more than that. But I have a lot of friends who don't come to all my shows. These ladies come to all my shows.
Yeah.
And so I was just, I came across, I can't remember where it was, a couple weeks ago, some company has a loyalty program. And I was like, loyalty program? Interesting. So I thought it'd be a fun thing for us to kind of brainstorm about. Because like, imagine if I had a card that was like the Dan Ray Music card. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I had a hole punch that, after 5 shows, you get some fancy magic piece of exclusive merch or something, or I don't know. What do you think? Does that seem cheesy to you? Does that seem, I don't know.
To me, it sounds like a Meatspace Patreon.
Meatspace Patreon. That's a band name.
There you go. Because you have an exclusivity. It's kind of like you were talking about the chocolate bars with that one.
Right.
That
Corsi
one artist.
Blanton. Yes.
Yeah. So when you show up to her show, if you can show that you do stuff and like support them, then you get this unique perk.
Right.
It's a matter of threading the needle though, because in order for exclusivity to be a component, there has to be enough there.
Right.
So maybe it's not exclusive at first, but maybe it's just a free shirt or like make something that like is easy to make.
Yep.
And not necessarily expensive to make, like coffee mugs or some sort of
shot
like
glasses or
something that like you can easily get appliques for that like doesn't take a lot of upfront cost and maybe just a little bit of time, but is interesting to people, and do something like that. That's definitely a possibility. But I think it would be more of you give them something. Uh-huh. So there has to be an exchange of value.
Yes.
I just don't think that exclusivity, at least at the beginning, as a proof of concept, as a,
you think free
MVP, if you will.
Free is enough. It doesn't have to be exclusive.
I don't think at first. Mm-hmm. I think you can build to that, but I think in order for that to be a component, you either need to find an exclusive thing that is low stakes, low cost, or
listen. There could be
free.
levels. You could have like your card could have, the corners punched, meaning you've completed 2 cards before. So like, this is your 3rd card. You get the 3rd level thing, or
right.
I don't know. There are ways to structure that so it gets more and more. The more invested you are in showing up at stuff, the more goodies you get, or something.
It's like the perfect attendance.
Yeah.
Card. If you get like a pizza party at the end of the year.
Yeah, pizza party. There you go. I could throw a pizza party.
That would be fun actually to do like an event. Like if you had like a solid fan base that like was pretty regular.
Yeah.
Like throw an event at the end of the year, like a literal pizza party.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like just like That'd be kind of funny.
That would be fun. Well, I'll tell you this wedding, not wedding thing that I'm going to do is almost entirely going to be populated by folks from the Lexington crew. That bunch of friends that come to my thing all the time. They're all going to be there, and a lot of them were there on Saturday too.
I think this week's episode should be called Meatspace Patreon.
Meatspace Patreon. All right, I can do that.
I think it's confusing enough.
Yeah, it'll get like the quizzical, the what?
That actually might backfire, because it does seem that when a topic is covered and and it's practical, that our numbers go up. So maybe Meatspace Patreon's a bad idea.
Well, I think we'll experiment. We'll find out. Yeah. If we'll call it Meatspace Patreon, and if this episode tanks, we'll know not to do that again.
Well, and if you're looking for relevant information and things that are informative and not so murky, you should check out this week's YouTube video, which premiered about an hour or 2 ago.
Yes.
I did a video about why you should incorporate your band. And it is very relevant. It is all practical. It's even got, steps and things and best practices and that kind of stuff. And I wish that somebody had made that video and explained why it's a good idea in 5.5 minutes before I did, because I didn't have any of that information.
Right.
And I don't think people do a very good job of explaining how and why it's a good idea.
Right.
But it is.
It is. Yeah. And there are a lot of ways to do it that have trade-offs. And so, yeah, it's a good video. It lays it all out.
Yeah. So check out the Cover Band Confidential YouTube channel. It is it's right there at the top. It should be. So got anything else going on?
No.
Cool.
I am, we're booked at, back at State Street again for,
Game Ray Experience, right?
Well, we're not calling it, maybe. For sure, we know there's going to be a full band show on the Saturday before Halloween, big party, Halloween party thing. I always, it's like my favorite gig to play is a Halloween party. It's always just the crazy good time. So
we should do it. I know we've talked about it before. We should do spooky Halloween song bracket like we did.
Do a bracket.
Bad Christmas song bracket.
Yes, we should. In time to learn them and use them.
Yeah. We need to do that.
Beginning of October, maybe.
Well, no. Well, what we need to do is we need to record it in September and put it on ice so that it's ready to go on October 1st.
Perfect. We'll do it.
That might be a Patreon stream thing that we do and then release it later on.
I like it.
Cool. But you were saying
that I'm excited about that.
Very cool.
Yep.
Let's see. I've got a couple of random offers to do solo acoustic stuff, which weirdly enough I have not done like all summer.
Huh.
So as the temperatures are starting to cool, I might grab a couple of those just to do it.
Yeah.
Because I haven't. There's a whole swath of material that I haven't. I've gotten to play a lot of music this summer. I will say that. And 80s stuff, 90s stuff, and like the pop punk emo thing, but like not a lot of yacht rock, not a lot of Elliot Lurie or that kind of lane. So
I picked up a new acoustic song yesterday. It's one of those ones that I've spent a lot of time saying, "Gosh, I wish I could play that," but and then I just tried it and I was like, "Oh, yeah." And what it was Salisbury Hill, Peter Gabriel.
Okay.
Which is there are arrangements out there that don't require two guitars as it's recorded, and I'm pretty happy with what I've landed on for it. So that'll be a new part of my acoustic show.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, that's all that I've got, and like I said, I mean it's gig day. I got.
Oh yeah, no, you gotta get busy, man.
So, folks, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being patient. I know that I missed listening to the podcast on my my morning constitutional that I do after the kids get on the bus. But hopefully you'll get a chance to listen to this on your way to whatever you've got going on this evening. So thanks for tuning in and for your continued support. If you want to support us further, share us with your friends, share us with your bandmates, share us with other people in your scene. Gotten a lot of really amazing emails and DMs and coaching stuff that's kind of come out recently. It's been really cool. Just talk to people and kind of pick their brains about how their business works and their markets and that kind of thing. And it's super cool. And every single day it's a fun new thing to learn about how people are making good money playing music.
Yep.
And whether we are a part of that or not, we just want that for you. So thanks. Or you can do any of the things that our buddy and Sammy Hagar's best friend, Adam from the Van Band, is going to tell you right now. So we'll go and call it for this week. In Atlanta, Georgia, I'm Adam Johnson.
In Greensboro, North Carolina, I'm Dan Ray.
You've been listening to the Coverband Confidential podcast for did I say confidential?
Confidential, yeah.
You have been listening to the Coverband Confidential podcast for the week of August 19th, 2022. Have a great week.